Welcome back to Ebron365. As you can see, I'm back with another video and I have a special guest with me tonight. Tonight I'm switching things up and doing things a little different. I have a writer, I have a poet here with me tonight. Her name is Lashanay Monique. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Would you like to tell the people a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. I am, 31 years old. I was born and raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I am currently a manager at a drugstore, but I do have my degree in funeral service, so I hope to move towards that field eventually. I have a 10-year-old son who's absolutely awesome. And I love to write. So every Sunday I record a video, either a message from God or a poem, and I share it with the world. And it's just been going great. Not necessarily because I get a lot of likes, but it's something that makes me feel fulfilled, like I'm walking in my purpose. So I love it.
Okay, that's what's up. So you don't do it for the likes. You just do it because it's in your heart.
Yeah, I don't, because if I did it for the likes, I would have stopped a long time ago. But in my mind, I'm performing for an audience of one. And I do feel like if one person watches my video, doesn't like it, but something changes about them for the better, then it's fine with me.
I agree with that. That's a good message, and that's
Hmm.
also a good way to think, to be able to put your work out there, not just for anybody else, but how you feel and the perception that you give off. So, when you say you write, what do you like to write about? Is it certain things you like to write about? Is it maybe a way you're feeling, maybe something you've been through, or something that you see somebody else going through?
Yes, a lot. Well, it's changed, but when I started writing, a lot of my poems were from the pain I was going through and frustration, and just a way for me to get that out. Now I write a lot of religious or spiritual poems, but I'm starting to realize that I need to incorporate them both, because there's people that were in the pain that I was in, and it's not always smiles. Everything's not always great. So to be real, it's fair for me to share the older stuff that I was feeling, because somebody can relate to that.
How long you been doing poetry?
So I started, I'll say maybe 2007. I was doing events at different churches, of course, before all of this, but I never wanted to be a poet. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I thought about writing books, I journaled, but I never would have thought that I would be writing poetry. But clearly it's what I'm called to do. So
So are you going to try to eventually write a book, or you
I
going to stick
do
with the poetry?
I do want to put my books and my poems in a collection, but I'm just having a hard time maybe coming up with a way to mesh them all together. But I kind of operate, as far as my poems and everything, that stuff usually just comes to me. So I feel like if I don't have the idea yet, then maybe it's not time. So when I think of a way to put it all together, then I would definitely, it's just things that you have to go through. Like first I would have to get my stuff copyrighted, and there's certain steps, because you don't want people, I feel like I'm taking a risk putting my stuff out every Sunday, but I just feel like God is protecting me. And secondly, if they do take one of my poems, they can't do it again. So, you know, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through that right now too, trying to go through the copyright process. I recently filmed a documentary,
Oh,
so
wow.
it's in editing stages right now, and I'm trying to go through the copywriting process.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely feel you on that.
Yeah.
Definitely feel you on that.
I
But
love a good documentary. You'll have to let me know about that. I really love documentaries.
I send it to you. It's about my life and how I grew up. So
Okay.
it's just telling my life story and just to give people another side of me from what they know, from my coworkers or that that or just a different side of me, just a different side of
Right.
me, and
Right.
my audience. So it's just some content I'm putting out there, but it's gonna be dope though. It's gonna be
Okay.
dope. So what made you choose poetry as a form of expression?
Um, I would just have to say, like I said before, I just literally sat down one day. Okay, like when I was in like middle school, you write poems to your play boyfriend or whatever, but I it just came to me, and I keep saying that because that's just how God works. Like I'll hear a word. Like one day I heard the word overstand, and next I'll sit down and be able to write a poem about it. So I just feel like it was my destiny. And a couple years ago, I got a prophecy saying that God is blessing the works of your hands, and this is going to bring your increase. So I'm starting to do everything with my hands. I'm doing hair, which I am pretty good at. I'm doing everything, trying to find out what this thing is. And clearly it's the poetry.
Okay, I feel you. Um, do you find it weird to be prophesized to?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, 'cause I know when you're young, you don't really. I mean, you hear it, but you don't really think about it because you
Pay it
don't
no
see it.
mind.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
see it. Maybe somebody else may see something within you. Because I was
Mhm.
prophesized to also when I was coming up. Because you know my mom, she kept us in church, and we was
Yeah.
at some kind of event, and the lady didn't even know me. We were just my
Mhm.
mom had introduced me to her, and she prophesied to me that I would be a preacher one day.
Mhm.
And at this time, I'm probably maybe 12 or 13 years old. So I really, okay, I really wasn't trying to hear it. But, a couple years later, well, now in this time frame, not I wouldn't really say it's preaching, but I think that prophesize comes in different ways. It don't have to be necessarily a preacher in a pulpit. It can come in different ways.
Oh
Using my
yeah.
using my voice to get out to the world,
Mhm.
and just being positive and trying to motivate and stay motivated. So it can come in different ways, different
Mhm.
forms.
Yes, definitely. When I was looking at your videos, I could tell that you're a very humble guy. I can see that coming.
Yeah,
But yeah, when you get those prophecies when you're young, it's just like, okay, lady, it's something that you can't see. That you're like, whatever. But then when it starts to come to pass, you're like, okay, well
yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
because I graduated late. I graduated when I was 30 years old, and someone had told me, you're going to graduate, it's going to be later than you think. So when it happened, I'm like, dang, okay, well, maybe there is something to this. But I also believe that everybody might not have a word for you. I think some people might be hearing wrong. I feel like you can, when you feel truth, you can feel it in your spirit. And if it's not
right.
true, you kind of, like, okay. Somebody came to me and told me that I was going to be a doctor. I'm like, thanks, but no.
Yeah, I believe that. What made you choose want to do funeral direct? Is it somebody that you know, or maybe a family member that owns the business?
Well, no, I actually don't have anyone in the business, which a lot of people who do it do have someone in the business. But my grandfather, I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, and he passed away when I was 14. And to me, he just looked like he was sleeping, but it kind of sparked my interest. Not in a morbid way. It might
Yeah.
sound morbid, but I just felt so much peace that I wanted to be able to give someone else that peace. So that's
Okay.
what inspired me. And then once I started going through class and doing embalming and stuff, I realized that I really do like it.
Oh, you do? Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah. But
That's
then,
what's up.
okay, so when it was time for me to excel, I started having health problems, and then it kind of pushed me back because I have one more certification to do. So I started having health problems. Then I got promoted at work. So I'm like, okay. But I'm still trying to make an exit plan eventually.
Right, right. How much longer you got before you finish that course?
Well, I'm done with the class. I have to
Okay.
take a certification test, but it's like three something for one part, three something for the other part. So I'm not just going to take it if I'm not ready.
Right. I feel you.
And the more time goes on, of course, it's getting further away. So
Right.
I'm not going to let it upset me, though, because with this pandemic, a lot of things have been changed and pushed back. So, and I guess we have to realize sometimes it's not about our timing, right? Not about when we want stuff to happen. So,
Right. So when you write your poems, do you have to be in the mood for it, or you just, like calm down and relax and just wait for it to come to you?
so I never really just sit down and write a poem. I have to hear something. I feel like I see a lot of things repeating, and so I don't sit down with the intentions to write a poem. I will get an idea. And sometimes I have things that I wrote last year in January, and I'll look at it and be ready to finish it. So, like, I can't stress enough that things just come to me, which I think is awesome. I was actually going through a very bad relationship, and my poetry, I stopped getting poems coming to me, and I was just like, this is crazy. But as soon as I let it go, it came back. So
Mm,
that was good. My, you know how people say that you have writer's block, so I would sit down and not produce anything. But I just try not to put pressure on myself. I try to go with the flow. I do my videos every Sunday. Sometimes, like this week, I had something planned, and then I just felt like, okay, that's not it. Let me do something else. But it just gives me, I battle with depression, so it just gives me something to look forward to and feel like I'm walking in my purpose.
what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
Um, I happen to have an awesome support system. My grandmother, my mom, and my son, obviously. He's the only person that can make me smile when I get down. So it's just being here for him, being able to help somebody. So not going through everything I went through for nothing if I'm able to help someone. And just my relationship with God and wanting to please him.
Okay, I feel that. I feel that. Who influences you, or who are your influences?
Do you mean
Where there's other writers, other poets. You say like your grandmother or your son or anybody that influenced you.
Uh, well, of course, I have to mention Maya Angelou because she's like the poet of all poets.
Right.
So I really do love her work. Also, Nikki Giovanni, I like some of her work. And I would just say, not even specifically a person, just circumstances, what's happening, what I'm going through,
Or what's
definitely
going,
pushes me.
or maybe what's going on in the world. Does that play some kind
Yes.
of effect into your thought
So
process?
I So I did a poem when all of the Black Lives Matter thing were going on. I reposted a poem that I told my son basically that in this life he was dealt the last card, which to
Right.
me
Yeah.
is true.
That
But
was
I
awesome. I
tried,
seen that.
yeah,
That
I
was awesome.
tried to kind of stay away from the political thing because it's one of those conversations like religion that people are not going to agree on.
Yeah.
And I try to keep the drama to a minimum. Like I remember last week I posted a poem and someone posted up there that Jesus is Santa for adults. And I was like, okay, hold on. And I wanted to say something. I wanted to delete his comment, but I just thought he has the freedom to express himself. And I really feel like as time goes on, it could be people that hate my poetry. And I have to be okay with that, right? But as long as I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, then it's fine with me.
Yeah, I agree with that because yeah, I know when I first started out with doing my sports thing, I didn't know, if people was going, how they was going to react to it, if they was going to like it, if they was going to accept it, or
Mm-hmm.
even if they were just going to watch it. But I just kept
Mm-hmm.
going and just kept telling myself, keep going, keep going, and keep going, and keep going. And it just grew over time, grew over
Yes.
time. And I'm pretty sure the same thing with you. I mean, you seem pretty humble too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes it may get hard. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you might that self-doubt comes in like, oh, I don't feel like doing this today. But then you
Yep.
find something within that that keeps you going,
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna do it today. I am gonna do it today. And I'm gonna put it down.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
just taking that leap of faith. Taking that leap of faith.
Yes. Definitely. I was telling my friend a couple weeks ago, I said, and don't get me wrong, when I was posting the other poems, it was fine. But when I started posting about things pertaining to Jesus, religion, being set free, when I tell you my life turned upside down, like I felt like I was being tested every time I posted a poem. So at one point I was like, I'm not doing it. Like any small inconvenience, you be like, I'm not putting up a video this week. But I had to realize that I can't let anything stop me because that's what's trying to stop me, all these circumstances. So I just got to keep going.
And you never know who might need to hear that word.
Mhm.
You never know. You never know. That could
Yeah.
get somebody going in the right direction. They might have been sad, they might have been hurt, they might have been down, and then they hear a poem, a positive poem,
Mhm.
and that switch their whole direction and go another route. So
Yep.
it's definitely positivity in what you're doing, and
Mhm.
I appreciate it. And I like all kinds of your poems. I went
Thank
through
you.
it and
I
I like all your
appreciate
poems.
that. Yeah.
Is
Yep.
you got anything you want to share with us? I want to put you on the
Um
spot, but
I'm prepared. So, actually, it's been on my heart to read one of the first poems that I wrote. I'm not sure why, because it's not super religious, but I'm just going to do what I feel led to do. So, this is one of the first poems I wrote. Forgive me, I don't know this one by heart, so I'll be reading. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Little girl lost in a grown woman's frame, sleeping with a man she doesn't know his last name, too naive to understand the tricks in the games when all he wants to do is keep her on a chain. It's hard to see the sunshine when you're standing in the rain, rolling in the dirt with liars, cheats, and thieves, faking surprise when he loves her then leaves. Laying down with dogs and waking up with fleas, feeling down and out when these wounds start to bleed, stressing over this man a lot of nights she didn't sleep, hoping for commitment, but she never heard a peep. Holes in hope and wishing, but his heart she couldn't keep because when he told her he was working, he was out running the streets. When she found out his mission, she found the strength to leave, but he had an extra present when she gave him back the keys. And the pain from this present was enough to bring her to her knees because he grabbed her by the throat. Then she knew she had to flee, made up her mind that they could never be another child in this world with his father absentee.
Mm,
And so I feel like it just came to me while I read that poem. This is one of the first poems that I've written. And I'm sure you've seen some of my more recent
right.
um,
All right.
poems. So I feel like at that point I was at, a man bashing stage and hurt and lost and everything else. But God has really brought me a long way.
Yeah. And if you keep them first, he'll take you even further.
Yes.
Beyond
Yes.
your wildest dreams.
Yes.
Beyond your wildest dreams. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this interview, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you know anybody that wants to be interviewed or anybody that you can think of that you want me to interview, leave a comment down below. If you like Lashanay, if you like her poems, make sure you follow her on Instagram at Lashanay Monique. And stay tuned for more content. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up button. And stay tuned.